recruit fired his final shot at the target. The bullet had pierced the bullseye, but there was no visible bullet hole on the target. His final score was only 90 rings, disqualifying him from joining the sniper company. However, his friend scored 99 rings and was selected in his place. Yet the friend was unhappy, knowing the recruit's shooting skills were superior. The recruit claimed he had gotten something in his eye, but his friend did not believe this explanation. When this man came to the sniper company, the squad leader took out the armband that belonged to the sniper company and gave it to him, which also symbolized the supreme honor. But he always doubted the performance of the new recruit that day. He ran to the warehouse without knowing why, and kicked open the sealed warehouse when no one was around, and found the target of the new recruit. Upon close inspection, he discovered the missing bullet hole had overlapped with a previous one. 2 bullets had entered the same hole in the layer with 9 existing holes. Astonished by the recruit's precision, he immediately reported the finding to his superiors. The commanding officer was amazed, having never encountered such a case, and summoned the company commander for discussion. After thorough verification, the recruit was finally admitted to the sniper company. During a subsequent courage test, a tank rolled directly toward the recruits. They immediately dropped to the ground motionless as the tank passed over them. The company commander smiled in approval at the results. However, when a chubby recruit named Pongzi underwent the test, he panicked at the sight of the tank and stood up just as it was about to hit him. He narrowly avoided being crushed when a comrade pulled him to safety, but Pongzi was left trembling. Determined to overcome his fear, Pongzi woke up 5 hours earlier than others daily for special training. One day, comrades borrowed a small cart from the mess hall to simulate a tank's shape for his practice. As the cart approached, Pongzi pressed his face to the ground and successfully conquered his fear. The team high-fived in celebration until Pongzi yelped, realizing someone had stepped on his hand. The final test arrived. If Pongzi failed again, he would be discharged. As the tank rumbled toward him, he no longer panicked, dropping to the ground and closing his eyes. The tank rolled safely over him. His comrades applauded, and the instructor smiled in approval, only to find Pongzi lying motionless afterward. Fearing the worst, they rushed to check on him, only to discover he had pretended to faint on purpose. Soon it was the once-in-5-year military exercise. Fatty heard the alarm and thought the war had broken out, but he didn't know it was just a military exercise. When Fatty changed his equipment, he found that his comrades were gone. On the way to find his comrades, he met the regiment commander. After the regiment commander learned that he had fallen behind, he decided to take him to find the troops. But he was ambushed by the enemy on the way, and even a sudden break injured the regiment commander's arm. Looking at the artillery fire outside the car, the recruits were frightened and mistakenly thought it was a real war. He hurriedly helped the injured regiment commander out of the car. At this time, the scene was in chaos. In order to protect the regiment commander, Fatty was like a god of war. He knocked the enemy to the ground with a sneak attack, and then knocked him unconscious with a head job. Then he picked up the gun on the ground and fired wildly around. But at this moment, in order not to be captured, the regiment commander wanted to throw a grenade to commit suicide. But the fat man who didn't know the truth thought it was a real battle and immediately stopped him. Fatty also took out gasoline, poured it on the vehicle, and then ignited the gasoline, and the vehicle exploded. The fat man used the explosion as cover and quickly carried the regiment commander on his back to evacuate. At this time, no one understood why the fat man was so serious. The fat man carried the regiment commander on his back and ran to the edge of the cliff. The regiment commander asked him to relax and told him that this was a military exercise. But as a new recruit, the fat man knew nothing about the exercise. In order not to be captured by the enemy, he carried the regiment commander on his back and then jumped off the cliff directly.